Z とは何者なのですか？
わしらは仲間のはずじゃった。お前の怒りは世界を壊すほど強いのか。せいぜい生き延びろよ、海賊は。
Alright, so I'm going to give you a synopsis and review One Piece Film Z. So, the movie starts out with a really cool shot of Z's weapon. I think it's called a Power Crusher. And a sad sounding song about the sea, the ocean. And it quickly goes into Z attacking a marine base for the purpose of stealing some Dynastone, which is a powerful explosive. After he gets it, the movie abruptly cuts to Z fighting with Kizaru. And it's apparent that Z is losing. So he shoots some of the Dynastone that he has at Kizaru, and it goes off in his face. But of course, Kizaru is alright, and the island, though, is not. And you see it erupt in huge amounts of lava and fire. And the camera pans back, and you see Aokiji watching the scene. And so this was all before the awesome opening, which I thought was kind of James Bond-like. It was really cool, actually. And I would not have minded it to have gone on longer. So next, we finally see the Straw Hats doing their usual stuff on the Thousand Sunny. Luffy, Brook, and Frankie are dancing, Zoro's drinking, and Usopp is fuming his plants. Robin's doing whatever. Sanji is bringing a drink to Nami, whose boobs are jiggling at the slightest movement, and Chopper's just looking cute. Some ash from the island that blew up lands on them, and they debate to go or not. But Luffy overhears and obviously wants to go. So no sooner do they start going that Luffy sees Z knocked out, floating on some planks of wood. When Luffy attempts to grab him, we find out that his weapon is made of sea stone, because Luffy loses all of his energy immediately. So Chopper heals him, because he says he's a doctor, that's what he wants to do, even if he turns out to be a bad guy. And after he wakes up, Luffy and him are talking, and Luffy tells him that they're pirates, and he immediately gets pissed off and attacks. So they're fighting. Z is totally messing up the Thousand Sunny, and Z's Neo-Marine crew comes to save him, having used a Vivere card. Beans uses plants to tie up most of the crew, and as Nami fights Ain, she gets turned 10 years younger by Ain's ability. The Modo Modo no Mi, or I guess that would be something along the lines of the Return fruit. Beans uses the Mosa Mosa no Mi. I guess that would literally be the hairy devil's fruit, even though he uses plants. And as Ain uses her ability, Nami gets turned back 10 years younger, then Chopper, then Robin, and then Brook, for no reason actually. Robin doesn't really have any reason to be turned back because she's pretty much the same, just 18 instead of 28. So Z and his crew leave, and Luffy's pissed and says that the fight isn't over yet, but they're getting pelted with cannonballs. So Luffy unties Frankie, and they do a coup de burst and get out of there. From there, they go to a ship repair island, where Frankie repairs the ship, and they use a sea train to go to the next island to get more info on Z. So, and the sea train scene is pretty cool. So from there, when they get on the island to get information about Z, Nami, Robin, Chopper, and Usopp go undercover, while Luffy, Brook, Zoro, and Sanji go to a public bath. Even though in the public bath, Luffy and Brook become weakened. So, anyways, that's why it's on the latest cover of Shonen Jump. But at the bath, they meet Aokiji. And everybody but Brook freaks out, because Brook hasn't met him yet. So Aokiji tells them that he's not a Marine anymore, and later they talk with him more, and Luffy asks him why he fought Akainu, and Aokiji says no comment. At that point, Aokiji essentially tells them nothing related to the manga story. And he reveals that he's scarred on his whole right side, and his left leg is missing, and he replaces it with ice. So Aokiji tells him Z is on the island. Meanwhile, Nami finds out Z is also on the island, but the Marines get suspicious, so Nami, Robin, Chopper, and Usopp get chased by Marines to where Luffy and the rest of the crew are. Here, Luffy uses his Emperor's Haki to knock out all the Marines but the captain, who tells Luffy Z is on the other side of the island. Luffy meets Z, who was setting Dynastone up to blow up the island. And Zoro goes for Ain because she has knives, and Sanji goes for beans, which obviously pisses off Sanji that Zoro goes for Ain because Sanji wanted to go for Ain. I don't know what he would do with her, but Z shoots Luffy with a machine gun, to which Luffy says that won't work because he's made of rubber. So Z immediately proceeds to pull out what looks like a Derringer gun, like a single bullet gun, and shoots Luffy in the right shoulder with a sea stone bullet. Luffy's hat flies off, and Z grabs it. Luffy follows, but Z grabs him and blasts him away, and Z takes off with Luffy's hat. Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji find Luffy and escape from some lava as the island is exploding with the help of Aokiji. They barely get to the sea train and get out as the island explodes like the first one. Somewhere around here, we see a scene where Garp explains to Colby and Helmet Ball that Z used to be the current young generation's teacher and Garp's own friend, or Nakama, as he puts it. So apparently Z used to be a great Marine, but his family was killed by a pirate, and then later his crew was taken out by a devil's fruit using pirate. And Z, I don't know, either lost his arm or his arm was messed up. So he got outfitted with a huge sea stone weapon with that thing on his arm. And of his crew that was taken out, killed, I guess, all but Z, Ain, and Beans were killed. So after Z gets the weapon on his arm, he goes back and probably beats the shit out of the pirates, probably kills them, out of the pirates that kill his own crew. So we see a scene where they're walking away from a pirate ship that's on fire. So it was around here that we see a white-haired Sengoku. I'm not sure if he had white hair the last time we saw him, but also Colby does nothing but ask Garp about Z, and we see Aki Inu in his new position, and we see many other Marines who have appeared before, including Smoker and Tashigi, but they don't say anything. So, you know, all the promotional advertisements had, you know, pictures of the Marines in their younger versions, but and so I was expecting a big flashback with a lot of the younger Marines, but there was nothing like that in the movie. Luffy gets patched up and the bullet taken out, and the Straw Hats regroup on the repair island when Aokiji appears again to the rest of the crew's surprise, and he tells them that what Z is going for is something called endpoint, which we've heard a few times in the movie before, in this movie. Aokiji explains that it's real, and it's the last of... Endpoint is the last of 3 islands, and when Endpoint is destroyed, is blown up, then lava that is connected underground with all 3 items will erupt and destroy, I don't know if it's all the New World or a part of the New World, but it will erupt and destroy a big portion of the New World from under the earth. So the 2 islands that were destroyed already in the movie were the first and the second point. So, and the reason why Z wants to do that is because, you know, he hates pirates. So he thinks that, well, Aokiji explains that if you destroy One Piece, you destroy the reason for people to be pirates. So no One Piece, no pirates. No pirates, no One Piece. I believe that's what he says. So the Straw Hats go through another costume change, which I guess would just be more figures to sell, and head out to Endpoint, which is another abrupt scene where they do the costume change, and there's kind of a cool scene that shows them all of the new costumes, and then they are immediately on Endpoint. So the Straw Hats fight the Neo Marines. Bunch of cool stuff happens. It very much looks like a video game. If the scene is not included in the second One Piece Pirate Warriors game, then I'll be really surprised. So all the Straw Hats do their stuff. It's pretty good. And then finally Luffy confronts Z. They do a lot of fighting, do a lot of trading punches. They both use haki to turn their arms black. And finally, after attempting to punch Z's Sea Stone weapon countless times, Luffy finally punches it and breaks it apart. And so after that, they pretty much just trade punches for a good couple of minutes. It's a pretty good scene. After Luffy gets knocked down, he gets up one last time, punches Z a couple times, and as Z is about to punch Luffy back, Z falls over while Luffy's still on his knees. So Luffy wins. This time, the rest of the crew appear, and and they all gather around Luffy, and Ein and Beans come, and they gather around Z, and we finally see Kizaru and a bunch of the Marines, including a bunch of the Marines that we've, like the captains that we've seen before, the people that apparently were taught by Z. So Z says that he'll take care of Kizaru while Luffy gets out of there. At this point, as Ein and Beans are about to go help Z, Aokiji makes a massive ice wall and blocks it, and Z proclaims that Aokiji has helped make his grave. And so Aokiji starts fighting all these Marines, and you hear the sad sounding song from the beginning of the movie. And he's fighting all these Marines, and Kizaru comes down and he starts using his ability, and you see some of the captains that Z had taught looking sad, and one of them even starts crying, like starts to shed a tear. Shows a clip of Z punching towards the screen and it freezes, and then the next shot we see Z's grave and Aokiji standing next to it, because Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akiinu were also part of his students. So after that, it shows the last scene of the movie. It shows Z as a child, like 6, 7, pretending to be like a masked hero Z, like a Kamen Rider type character, and being the defender of justice. And that's how the movie ends. So, all in all, I didn't think I was going to like it as much as Strong World, but I think it was a little better. It did kind of seem to follow a general shonen manga movie format, but there's just something different about it. Same with Strong World. It kind of followed the same manga movie format, but it just felt different. So there was some really good music in the movie, some really good scenes, and unlike Strong World, it seemed like everyone had about equal talking time, because it seemed like in Strong World, Robin hardly said anything. Also, there was still some questions, like how come Aokiji didn't tell them anything related to his fight? Why does Sengoku have white hair? Where is Aokiji going from here? So, I highly suggest watching the movie when it comes to America, and buying One Piece products. Thanks for watching, and as always, please subscribe, like, or comment. My next review, look forward to it.